and just talk to the chairs. One of the problems you have in a thing like this is that when you do give a talk and the place is empty, you lose, you'll notice it. You'll say, Pete, you've delivered that to the chairs, haven't you? Because there's no inflection.
You just look at one.
Yeah, you just, But I will try and pretend. I might put a couple of you cut out. I might get Phil to take a photo of you and I'll put it up there and I'll talk to all of you people. And at least you won't answer back, which is probably good. Okay. Are we on, Phil?
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk to you about the entrepreneurial mindset, and on Thursday we're going to do a little test. We're going to do a test, which is the Peter Basketball psychology test on your entrepreneurial status. So, don't be frightened by it.
You get a mark. You
get a mark. You get a score. And let me go through it. Okay, entrepreneurial mindset. I'm no entrepreneur. I get that all the time. In fact, I've said that. I was employed by Southbank to actually write the national curriculum on entrepreneurship, and I said, but I'm not an entrepreneur. You need to talk to one of these guys. These are entrepreneurs. The rest of us are just wannabes, And it's not true. It's not true, like I said before. These are the real entrepreneurs. It's not true. To be successful in any business, we need to think like an entrepreneur. We need to act like one. We need to follow the entrepreneurial process. Basically, we need to be entrepreneurial. So in the end, I said, okay, I don't want to claim to be an entrepreneur, even though I've opened 30 different businesses. I still wanted to call myself as being entrepreneurial. In other words, I have an entrepreneurial outlook. In the decisions that I make, in the choices I make, it's a very entrepreneurial outlook. So I was comfortable with that, and once I got comfortable with that, lately people call me an entrepreneur, which is sort of, I'm not sure whether that's good or bad, because most entrepreneurs end up in jail, don't they? So far I've managed to miss it. I've managed to miss that, but I did get mentioned in Hansard, and this is interesting. We're not going to get to 8:30, but anyway, I won't go past 8:30. This is what inspired my whole online game, you see. I got employed to write the entrepreneurial, I wrote the national curriculum for the vocational graduate certificate in entrepreneurship. So that was pretty cool, wasn't it? I knew nothing about all the academic stuff, but I wrote it anyway. And anyway, how did I get to that? Oh, and then one of the people that were on the CDAC, there they call a panel that sort of puts it together, and they were the professors from universities and all this sort of stuff. And someone said, wow, someone like you, having opened all those businesses, must have a huge online profile. And I thought, online profile? What's an online profile? A bit like you guys, And so I thought, when you type in Google, you must be all over the internet. Well, of course, I'd not written anything. Not one single thing. I had nothing. I was a nothing. So I thought I'd better go and check. And anyway, I type in Peter Basketball to see what comes up. Guess what the #1 return was? Right up on the top of Google was how Peter Basketball was a scoundrel that had ripped some guy off and that had left him destitute. And I thought, this is not good. That's not true. I didn't do that. But in Hansard, and you can look it up yourself, see if you can find it tonight, because I have buried it. Don't worry, I've buried it. I buried it with 700 posts. It's right at the end. But it was about a business transaction we had in Sydney, and the guy got let down by his lawyers. He ended up with some debts that really didn't belong to him, but they belonged to the lawyer because the lawyer didn't pick it up. And such was the business transaction. And then he complained about it, and it went to Hansard, went to the Parliament, and the Parliament got up and talked about Peter Basketball, the hound Peter Basketball, and all of this sort of stuff. Anyway, it wasn't very flattering. It wasn't the thing that I wanted the people on that CDAC to see, because I thought, this is bad. This is not going to work well for Peter Basketball. So I started then quickly setting up LinkedIn's and anything that got onto the front page, so that this one eventually got down the back page. Anyway, there's a prize for anyone that can go and find the Peter Basketball in New South Wales Hansard 1998 or something like that. So you can go and do a search and then have a bit of a read of it. It's a bit of a laugh, but
what was the year?
I'm not sure. It was 15 years ago probably about that. But anyway. So that's actually what's inspired me to think I can't have people typing in Peter Basketball and seeing that. I need to deal with it. So you'll have real trouble finding it because I have buried it with so much really good content, don't you worry. Anyway, mindsets. Mindsets are the starting point for everything. Like I say, your mindset, you have a particular mindset tonight. You have a particular way of looking at something. And if we were to when we do anything, depending on your mindset is what you see. And you currently, through accident birth, we are programmed a particular way. Through our experiences, we're programmed a particular way. Through our current emotions, we're programmed a particular way. Our mindsets determine the way we see things, the way we take in information. They determine our values, and they determine for us what's important. A mindset determines what's important, so it's a key part of it. Mindsets are situational. In other words, it depends what situation I'm in. If I'm in a research mode, if I'm searching for something, your mind how many of you, when you buy a new car or even buy an old car, suddenly the car's everywhere. You've never seen that car in that colour before, and now it's everywhere. You know why? Because your mind is set for that situation. Now you're starting to search for that car where you didn't search for it before. And every second car is your car with that same brown roof with the stripe down the middle, So when our brain gets into that mode, we start to see things that we didn't see before. And creating, testing, executing. Thank you. That one. And producing. When our minds are in these modes, they take on a different sort of attitude. So it's not their mindsets are not always fixed. They actually are situational, and depending on what we're doing at the time. In business, we need two mindsets to be successful. Two really prominent mindsets you have to have. You have to have a business mindset, and you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You need them both. The business mindset basically says, what's in it for me? If someone is not asking that question, you are in trouble. You're either running a charity, or you're about to go broke eventually. If you're only thinking about the entrepreneurial, which is what's good for the business, an entrepreneurial mindset says, what's good for the business? What makes this business grow? What makes this business thrive? What makes this business a better business than it was yesterday? A business mindset says, yeah, sure, but what's in it for us? What's in it for me? How do I make money out of this? Me. Nothing wrong with that mindset. In fact, you need them both. In fact, if I was to invest in anyone, I'd probably invest in a business mindset over an entrepreneurial one. But the entrepreneurs have their place, and the entrepreneurial mindset has its place. Most people that do this course are not usually not heavily entrepreneurial, although that will be interesting to see how we go tomorrow, because you've seen the need that the starting part is what entrepreneurs do well. I start businesses. I know how to start businesses. I've done 30 of them. I've figured it out. I know how to start businesses. As far as the business mindset, which is running them for what's in it for me, it really doesn't interest me. I know that sounds really funny, but that's why I build a business and sell it off, because it's not my mindset. It's not the thing that actually makes me happy. So I need to be in an environment that's very stimulating, very entrepreneurial. That's because if we did this test that you're going to do on Thursday, I would score 100 out of 100 for entrepreneurship. That's what I am. I just am that animal, But I've learned to appreciate the business mindset, and of course my learned skill is accountancy. I'm a global expert on accountancy and finance, so there you go. So I've actually learned a lot of the other side of how it works, but I desperately need a partner, because my mindset is not enough to be successful in business. I need to have someone who is thinking about the other side, and at the moment my good brother is being my partner, because he adds the side that I don't have, which is that whole business mindset view. Businesses need both. The entrepreneurial mindset is about how the business engages it externally to keep clients. A entrepreneurial mindset is just about external clients, about making clients happy, being that external relationship. The business mindset says, how can we structure this business internally to make money out of that relationship? But one comes before the other, and the one that comes before the other is the entrepreneurial one. And the one that you need to learn in this course is more the entrepreneurial than the business. Most of you that have had jobs have actually got a pretty good business mindset. You've actually learnt that, because businesses, particularly ones that you've worked with that have survived, have obviously survived because they practice good business principles. You have, without knowing it, or maybe you did know it, but you've learned good business principles from the people that you've worked for. So that isn't the problem. What you haven't learned from the people you've worked for is how to start businesses, how to do that entrepreneurial side. So those with strong business mindsets need to come and learn about the entrepreneurial one. Those with entrepreneurial mindsets need to go and learn about the business. They might not be able to ever, I probably don't enjoy doing the business side of things, but I understand its importance, and I go looking for people that can partner with me. Some of you, when you do the test and you realise that you're actually 50-50, you've got a good blend of entrepreneurial views, you've got a good blend of business views, you probably don't need to be looking for a partner. You don't have the same problem that I've got. So you can probably go for a fair while without having to do that. Those of you that with a very strong business mindset, it basically says once you get into business, you'll be fine. Why don't you think about buying a business? Why don't you think about partnering with someone to get a business started and then have an agreement where they get paid out and move on? Because once the business is up and running, you'll be fine. Because business mindsets have a natural ability to keep something sustainable. So these are the issues. Both of them are learnable. You can learn how to view things in an entrepreneurial way, as you can in a business way. You've got to decide how you're going to fill the gap. If you're very strongly business, how are you going to deal with the entrepreneurial one? One of them is to attend this course, get some worksheets, get some group activities, get some understanding about how to do it, and learn the entrepreneurial side. The entrepreneurial is the first one you've got to exercise. So if you're a strongly business mindset, you still need to learn the entrepreneurial one because it starts at an entrepreneurial level. It doesn't start with business. Business mindsets are atrocious at starting businesses. They go broke trying to make a profit, if I can say that. They're so focused on profit they don't realise, like Darcy did, that you've actually got to build a client base first at $20 an hour. You've got to do that. That's not making a profit, but that's about building your business, because out of that comes 6 referrals that you do make money out of. You know, so you have to have that. That's a very entrepreneurial decision that he made when he decided to stick with that person, not a business one. A business one would have said, pulled him aside and said, don't ever go near that lady again. $20 for 3 hours work, Darcy. Come on, we've got to do better than this. But it's an entrepreneur that would say, an entrepreneurial mindset that would say, no, this is important that I look after this because there could be good referrals out of this, which will build my business. And now it's not a big deal. Transition, we need to. About 18 months to 2 years. How many entrepreneurs have you heard of that actually get kicked out? Steve Jobs, twice. Most entrepreneurs get kicked out after 18 months, 2 years, once they've built the business, because that mindset is no longer any good for making money out of a business. They keep wanting to double up all the time. Let's take this 100 million we've got, let's put it on the line and make 600 million. You know? At some point, the business mindset says, no, we just want to make money out of this now. We don't want to throw it all on the table again and double up on something else. So you need a mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, to start and grow a business. You need a business mindset in order to make a business sustainable, if you like, profitable. So we need them both. You guys need to understand how you sit, where you sit, and I can't tell you. I've got a little test. Well, it's quite an extensive test, but it's lots and lots of questions that I get to ask, and it's not one is better than the other. It's just you need to know how you're going to manage it. So there's a mindset change. There's a concept and planning stage, which a lot of you are in at the moment. We're in a concept planning stage. We're going to eventually get to a launch and then to established phase. Then we'll go on to operating and sustainable phase. And this is what happens. At the moment, you need to be 100% biased towards entrepreneurship when we're in this concept planning stage. I want people that are thinking about making a profit. I just need to move you to the side. I don't want that in the room right now. We've got enough problems figuring out the entrepreneurial side of it first, which is how we're going to make something that people are going to want to buy. The actual profit out of it, we're going to have to figure out later, but not right now. Right now, we need to find something that people are willing to buy and set it up in a model that people ultimately can make money out of. But as we go along through that launch, through to operating and sustainable, it eventually becomes 100% business mindset. So that's why I say we need to do that transition. So if you are very entrepreneurial, you need to think about how you're going to do that transition as your business grows. If you don't do the transition, your board will make it for you. You'll go in one day and you'll walk out and say, well, what happened then? I've just lost my company. The entrepreneurial mindset is different. It's different, and that's what I'm going to try and do in this course. I've got about 5 minutes. We don't say ready, what is it? Ready, set, aim. We say, what do we say? Ready, fire, aim. We do proof of concept first. We want to prove something first, and that's why I say that affordable loss idea. We don't think about things. We actually go and do. We actually go and do and test. We go and make something happen. Failure for the entrepreneurial mindset is no big deal. Failure is just part of the learning process, and we need to get used to that. We need to think in terms of possibilities. Entrepreneurs pursue opportunities without regard to resources currently controlled. A business mindset says, we can't even think about that. We haven't got the money to do that. An entrepreneurial mindset says, this is what we're going to do. Somehow we'll find the resources, We will attract the resources. Once I've got an idea that's proven, once I've got a proof of concept, I will attract resources. And that's the truth. And that's the entrepreneurial job. Entrepreneurs can think in ambiguity, and this is hard because a lot of people say, yeah, but give me a plan, give me a 1, 2, 3, show me this, and I say, well, it isn't there. It's it's shadows in the mist. All you're going to have right now, for most of you, is I've got this feeling, and I can sort of make out some shapes, and that's about all I've got at the moment. You know what? You're in a good position. That's not unusual. Most, or 100% of businesses' ideas start there. They don't start with, absolutely, I know exactly what I've got to do. You actually know nothing about what you want to do. You've got a shape, you've got an idea, but you don't necessarily have it very clearly. We can still operate. Entrepreneurial mindset still operates in that environment, still operates effectively. And when it gets surprised, it uses them. It twists them to their own advantage. And this affordable loss principle, where we actually go out and do things knowing full well they're probably not going to work, but the learning we're going to get from them is fantastic. And that's why I say we have in that room down there, which is a computer, we have the ability to put together affordable loss concepts, things that are going to cost us less than $1,000, less than a couple of $100. We are actually going to go and prove something. So you think you've got a good idea? Okay, well, let's build a website around it, and let's put it out there, and let's put it out in social media, and see what happens. And if you tell me after a couple of months that you're not getting any followers, you're not getting any likes, well, maybe you haven't got a product that's worthwhile. When I say that, when I put what I'm doing out there and I see the responses that I get, I keep saying, wow, there's a market here. There's a market here that I can monetize. I'll just finish with this. Can I finish with this? Yeah. I'll finish with this because I don't want you to go past that. Entrepreneurial mindsets, and these are all of these things you can learn. During the course, I'm going to pepper you with mostly entrepreneurial stuff because that's what I think most of you have come to learn. Most of you have not come to learn how to run a business. I think, if I put every one of you today in charge of a business and said you have to run it, I'd have a fair bet that I'd get, you guys would operate in the high 80s to 100% expertise level. There's not many of you that would fail, I think, if I said, here's the business, here it is running, I want you to keep that running, I want you to keep making that sustainable. Most of us can do that. If I said to you, I want you to actually go and start a business today, most of you would just look at me and go, huh? That's why we've paid the big money, as Dennis says. We've paid that money to come and learn that. And so in the early part of this course, and in fact most of this course, I'm going to be peppering you on how entrepreneurs think. Interestingly, and I was only thinking about this tonight, if you type into Google, and then I'll finish on this, if you type into Google, how do entrepreneurs think? Yeah, if you were to type that in, the number one that would come back is a Forbes article written by Peter Basketball. So there you go. So when you're talking about this guy up front, what does he know about how entrepreneurs think? What would he know about? Well, he happens to be published in Forbes and happens to be the number one search return in Google. So isn't that, doesn't that make me the authority? I'm gonna cover this later on. Maybe I'll do this as one of those things that you guys need to learn about. But thinking in patterns, entrepreneurs can see logical extensions to things. They see this and they say, if that's happening, then this will eventually happen. I wrote about the education revolution in 2008. I wrote a whole extensive 3,500 essay on it. That was me writing an essay. In 2008, and I saw as clearly as anything what was going to happen. Now, Google tonight have announced, Google, what is it called? Open online learning, just been released by Google. You know, now Google, once Google moves into this space, it's all over. 2014, so 6 years ago, I was writing about something that, because I could see the logical extension of things. Creative disruptive force, I can see how things that get created, they destroy existing. Cross-pollination is really important. You can go in, you know, here's an idea of a cross-pollination. In the pubs now, you know, when you go and order and they give you the buzz, and you go and sit down and you enjoy a drink, that saves an incredible amount of staff costs. Having staff going around trying to, Michael, you'd know this from restaurants, would you? They're going around trying to find people, you know. Buzz, they come up and collect it themselves. Ah, unbelievable. You know what they're doing now? You go to a big chemist warehouse, get your prescription, they give you a buzzer. And you know why? Because I can go and shop all the things. A buzzer, go back and get my prescription, as opposed to 20 people gathered around the prescription. You know, that's called cross-pollination. I've seen an idea there in food, and I can see how that could be applied here. Entrepreneurs see that all the time. They think incessantly, you know, curious, opportunist, and optimistic. You know, that's how they think. And when I'm saying this is what I want you guys to start to think like. Think internally. Everything they do has a personal development focus. It's called an internal focus, locus of control. In other words, I believe that that I can change the world. I believe that I can change my world. I believe that my world is not the result of the things around me. I don't care if there's injustice all around me, I can still operate. I don't care if there's unfairness, I can still operate. Because I'm not driven, I don't care if people don't appreciate me, I can still operate. Because that's not what drives me. What affects me is not an external thing. What affects me is how does this affect me, and is this adding to my personal growth and development? If it is, I don't give a, you know what, I don't give that about anyone else. Because an entrepreneurial mindset is about, it's an internal thing, it's about being driven by an internal motive, I guess, you know. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. What I'd like to do now, I'll finish on that. I want to do more on the entrepreneurial mindset, more on the business mindset. We'll do that on Thursday if we get a chance. And then I want to get you to do this test and understand, because the thing I want to talk about Thursday is you. We need to understand who you are. What are you bringing? You are your business's most valuable resource. You know, right now, all your business has got, you and some savings. But you are the most valuable resource. How much do you know about you? Do you know whether you have an entrepreneurial or business mindset? You know, do you know your personality types? You know, what do you know about yourself? You know, we're going to do a bit of that on Thursday as well, because we need to understand your most valuable resource, which is you. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. So all I ask is on Thursday is when you come, have your stuff, the room will be open, go in there and get on those social media platforms, start doing that checklist, and when it's all done, I want that handed in, because that is part of your assessment, guys. This is not you can do it maybe, or you don't pass the course if you don't hand that thing to me, all right? Tonight I'd like to, those of you that haven't been invited to Facebook or haven't been invited to Box, to just stay behind in the next half hour, because I want to invite you through the computer, yeah, before you go, because it's essential that we all get up and connect to that as quickly as possible. Okay, thanks guys. I took 2 minutes of your time.